Hello, this is Miss McCauley, and I'll be helping you learn how to find the area of a parallelogram. Today you're going to be learning about how to find the area of a parallelogram. I have a guest visitor who's going to help along with this lesson. It's Porky the pig, and he recently traveled to Alaska just like the bunny if you happen to take the statistics class.
Hi, I'm Porky Pig, and I'm in Alaska. Wow, there's a caribou behind me. Did you know that caribou is also a reindeer? I did not know that. Anyway, let's talk about geometric figures. A polygon is a closed figure formed by three or more straight lines. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral with opposite sides parallel and opposite sides the same length. A rhombus is a parallelogram with four equal sides. Let's see how they all relate.
The three circles are what's called a Venn diagram. It shows how things relate. You can see that the biggest circle is for polygon. A polygon is simply a closed figure formed by three or more straight lines. So I could draw a polygon that would look just like, maybe like this. There's no real, parallel lines or anything. It's just closed straight lines. A parallelogram, however, must have the opposite sides parallel and the same length. So I'm going to do my best to draw what really looks to be a parallelogram. That's a parallelogram. A parallelogram is always a polygon, but a polygon is not always a parallelogram. And then a rhombus is a parallelogram that has four equal sides. Okay, so if four equal sides would be just more like this. I'm doing my best to make that look like a rhombus. So a rhombus is always a parallelogram and a polygon, but a parallelogram doesn't have to be a rhombus. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let's look at this real world link. Expert skateboarders can slide down the railings of stairs safely. A parallelogram is used to build a staircase. How many sets of parallel lines are shown in this parallelogram to the right? So if you were to look at the lines, how many of them are parallel? Parallel means that they run opposite each other and they'll never intersect. Okay, so take a look at that and what do you think? Hopefully you said that there are two sets of parallel lines. There's one set right here and then another set right here. Okay, go ahead and go to your next page, please.
Wow, I made it to Denali National Park, one of the largest national wildlife parks in America. Anyway, back to parallelograms. The area of a parallelogram is the product of its base and its height. A lot of times you will see a formula that is written A equals BH, which simply means area equals base times height.
We'll use to calculate the area of a parallelogram, base times height. The area of a parallelogram is related to the area of a rectangle, as you discovered in the investigation. The base of a parallelogram can be any one of its sides, so it could be any one of the sides would be the base. The height is the perpendicular distance from the base to the opposite side. You will usually see a little line in the parallelogram that'll be identified as the height. And you can tell that it's perpendicular because it forms a 90-degree angle with the base. Parallelograms include special quadrilaterals such as rectangles, squares, and rhombi. That simply means that all squares, all rectangles, and all rhombi are parallelograms. And so you find the area the same way for all of those, base times height. Let's find the area of the parallelogram below. It says here, it's a little hard to read, but the base is 6 units and the height is 8. Okay, so let me just write that in a little bit bigger for you guys. Let's see here, so we'll just write base, base equals 6, height equals 8 units. So let's write our formula out. Area equals base times height. So that's simply area equals 6 times 8. So area equals 48 units. Now, however, remember when we do area, our units always need to be squared. So square units, that's really important. Okay, go ahead and go to your next page, please. Let's go ahead and practice a few more problems. Find the area of the parallelogram below. It shows you here the side length is 20 and 13, so that would mean that this one would also be 20 because they are parallel. That means that the opposite sides are equal in a parallelogram, and that one would be 13. The height is 11. Okay, so the area equals base times height, 20 times 11, which is 220 square centimeters. Okay, one thing that you'll notice is that they did do an estimate ahead of time. That is always a good idea. When you do an estimate, you should round one of the numbers to like a close, easy multiplier. So what they did is they took 20 and multiplied it by 10. They changed the 13 to a 10. Just to make it easy multiplication we can do in our head. That gives us 200 square centimeters. If our answer is close to 200 centimeters, that means that we did a good job and we got 220, which means we're most likely correct. Let's do a couple of practice problems. I'd like you to press pause and try to calculate the area of these two parallelograms. And then come back to check your answers. I will have Porky come back and give you the answers to these two problems. Okay, what you should do to get yourself started is area equals base times height for both of them. These are pretty easy. You may use the height is right here. Okay, so you would use the height, and then on this one the height is going to be right here, so you have to count.
Uh-oh, better be quick. It looks like bears might frequent this area. Hopefully you have solved both problems, and your answer should have been 18 square units for number A or letter A, and it should have been 64 meters squared for letter B. If you have any questions, please make sure to ask your teachers at this point if you're not sure how we got those answers.
Okay, I am going to go ahead and write in the formula, what you should have used to get these answers. The only tricky part is sometimes knowing which is the base. These were pretty clear. I circled it for B, and then obviously for letter A, the base would be right here, and you had to count your units. If you're unclear at this point on how we got these answers, please press pause and go ask your teacher for a little bit of help before you continue. If you get it, go ahead and go on to the next page. A formula is an equation that shows a relationship among certain quantities. To find missing dimensions, use the formula for area of a parallelogram. Replace the variables with the known measurements. Then solve the equation for the remaining variable. This is where things get just a little bit tricky, especially if you are taking the geometry power-up class before you've had algebra. So you really need to pay attention here because we're going to actually give you some hints and help you, and this will actually have you really well prepared for when you get to the algebra unit this year, which is Unit 4 in your regular math class. So for number 3, it says, find the missing dimension of the parallelogram. The area we know is equal to the base times the height. The area, it says, is 45 equals 9, which is the base, times the height. The height we do not know. So that's like our missing piece to a puzzle. So 45 equals 9 times h. Well, this is pretty easy. You could do that in your head. You know that 9 times 5 is 45. So you're pretty sure that 5 is the height. But if you weren't sure, what they did is they actually solved an algebraic equation. And like I said, this is something we don't do until Unit 4. So you're getting a sneak peek right now. So let me just show you. 45 equals 9 times h. That means 9 times the height, which we do not know. It's the missing piece. what's happening right here, 9 times h, or 9h, is simply 9 times h. In order to solve algebraic equations, you do the opposite operation. So if it is multiplication that is happening, we solve it by using division. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. So that just simply means divide both sides by 9. When we do that, we get 45 divided by 9 is 5. 5 equals h, because these 9 divided by 9 is 1, so that cancels itself out. That is all we did. So our height would have been, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to write h. We know it's h. Should have been 5. Let's see if you can do C and D on your own. Okay, I'm going to help you get started, and then we'll have Porky come back and show us the answers. So our area is 48, and over here our area is 96. In this case, we're given the height for both of our parallelograms. So area equals 6, whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to write A because we know the area. 48, whoops, didn't mean to do that either, hold on. 48 equals 6 times B, base times height, right? And then this one, 96, equals the base times the height, which is 8, or B8, same thing as 8B. See if you can guess what these missing pieces are. Okay, so you're basically asking yourself 6 times what is equal to 48, and what times 8 equals 96. Press pause now, solve the problems, and then check your answers with Porky. Either show your teachers the answers to the practice problems or answer them in the note check and have your teacher check them there. You can also check them in the Part 2 video.